Emily and I had been together for 3 years. Our relationship built on laughter, shared dreams, and an unspoken promise of loyalty. I was adventurous, always seeking the thrill of the outdoors, while she cherished quieter, more intimate moments. Our differences complemented each other, or so I thought. As winter arrived, I couldn't resist the call of the mountains. I planned a week-long snowboarding trip with my friends, something I'd been looking forward to for months. Emily wasn't a fan of the cold or the adrenaline rush of extreme sports, so she stayed behind. Before I left, I noticed Emily's phone buzz. A message from Jake, one of her coworkers, popped up on the screen. My stomach churned at the sight of Jake's name. Jake was charming, always finding excuses to hang around Emily. When I'd brought it up before, she laughed it off. "Jake, don't be silly," she said, kissing me on the cheek. "You have nothing to worry about." But now, as I packed my snowboard in gear, unease crept in. I pushed the thought aside, reminding myself that trust was the cornerstone of any good relationship. Still, as I drove away, a shadow of doubt lingered. The first day of my trip was a blur of powdery slopes and camaraderie. Yet, when I called Emily that evening, her responses were clipped. "Busy day at work," she said. "Just tired." I wanted to believe her, but her tone was off. I shrugged it off, thinking I was overanalyzing. Back home, she was anything but tired. Jake had come over, ostensibly to help with some minor house repairs. One glass of wine turned into 2, then 3. Their laughter filled the living room, the space feeling strangely intimate. Jake leaned closer, his hand brushing against hers. "You're so much fun to be around, Emily," he murmured. I didn't know it at the time, but that was the moment she hesitated, guilt flashing through her. Yet Jake's persistence and the thrill of the forbidden overcame her resistance. By the end of the night, they had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. They spent the next days exchanging furtive texts and finding reasons to meet again. The week dragged on. My calls became a routine that Emily dutifully maintained, her voice steady and betraying nothing. But my instincts, honed over years of reading the nuances of her mood, told me something was amiss. On the 4th day, one of my friends noticed me staring blankly at my phone. "You okay, man?" I forced a smile. "Yeah, just tired." But I wasn't okay. That evening, as my friends celebrated another great day on the slopes, I made a decision. I called a mutual friend back home, someone who had always been unflinchingly honest. "Have you noticed anything weird with Emily?" I asked. There was a pause on the other end. "I don't want to get in the middle of anything, but Jake's been around a lot lately." The words hit me like a gut punch. I ended the call, my mind racing. I decided to cut my trip short. I arrived home unannounced early the next morning. The sight of Jake's car parked outside our house confirmed my worst fears. I entered quietly, the muffled sounds of conversation and laughter guiding me to the living room. There they were, Emily and Jake, their body language intimate, their betrayal unmistakable. I didn't explode in anger. Instead, I calmly stepped into the room. "Having fun?" I asked, my voice cold and steady. Emily and Jake froze, their faces draining of color. Emily stammered, "Mark, I can explain." But I wasn't interested in explanations. I simply nodded and walked out, leaving them in stunned silence. Revenge, I decided, wouldn't be loud or impulsive. It would be calculated. First, I meticulously gathered evidence of their affair, text messages, photos, and even a recording from the security camera I had discreetly installed before leaving. Then I planned my next moves. My first target was Jake. I anonymously forwarded the evidence to his boss, knowing that his workplace had a strict policy against unprofessional conduct. Within days, Jake's reputation was in tatters, and he was let go from his job. I also sent the evidence to Jake's girlfriend, ensuring she knew exactly what kind of man he was. For Emily, my approach was more personal. I packed my belongings, leaving behind a note that read, "I trusted you. I loved you, but you chose to destroy that. Goodbye." I moved out, blocking her on all platforms. To ensure she felt the weight of her actions, I shared the evidence with mutual friends and family, ensuring the truth was known. I also canceled our joint accounts and took back gifts I had given her, leaving her to deal with the fallout of her choices. Months later, I stood at the top of a mountain, snowboard in hand. The air was crisp, the horizon vast and full of possibilities. I had left the pain behind, focusing instead on my own happiness. Emily's betrayal had been an avalanche, but I had survived. And in the end, I was stronger for it.